Good evening and welcome to TV47 Prime. Now, the spotlight tonight is on Ol Kalou as ballots are counted in a closely watched parliamentary by-election. We have comprehensive coverage plus all the day's top stories. My name is Peter Kamau. Our sign interpreter is Catherine Simaloy. Let's get started. Thousands of residents flocked to polling stations as early as 6 a.m. to cast their votes and elect a new MP to replace the late David Kiaraho, who died earlier this year. As Paul Kirobi reports, People's Renaissance Movement PRM parliamentary candidate Timothy Kamau Kariuki drew attention after arriving at the polling station on a donkey.
Thousands of voters turned up as early as 6 a.m. to elect a member of parliament who will serve for the remainder of the current term following the death of former MP David Kiaraho earlier this year. The voting exercise was largely peaceful in the early hours of Thursday before isolated incidents of tension disrupted the process in parts of the constituency.
So naomba tu serikali ikuwa na amani na watu wa Ol Kalou enlarge watakuwa na amani. Thank you so much.
Democratic Citizens Party DCP candidate Douglas Waweru voted at AC Primary School, where he raised concerns over reports that some of his polling agents had allegedly been asked to produce copies of their national identification cards.
Morning, some of our agents were asked to provide copies of the ID, which is not a requirement by law. But we had the arrow.
United Democratic Alliance UDA candidate Samuel Muchina cast his ballot at Huruma Primary School. He renewed his earlier complaint that a vehicle carrying his campaign agents had been torched on the eve of the election.
Wenye wanapeana pesa huku kwa polling station, and I'm calling the IEBC to investigate the issue because I have heard from my people na kwamba kuna watu walikuwa kwa police station kadhaa ambao wanajaribu kuhonga wapiga kura katika police station zetu. But I believe IBC will take the action against those individuals.
People's Renaissance Movement PRM parliamentary candidate Timothy Kamau Kariuki drew attention on Thursday after arriving at Kieni Primary School polling station in Ol Kalou, Nyandarua County, aboard a donkey to cast his vote in the Ol Kalou by-election. He said the rising cost of fuel influenced his decision to use the donkey.
They will not look at who made the loudest voice, who came with the most fuel gatherers, and who was traversing the county, the constituency, with the highest noise. They will look at the genuine voter who is willing to help and who can deliver.
Another candidate Jubilee Party's Wilson Kigwa, who voted at Kandutura Primary School, said some elderly voters experienced delays after biometric identification challenges slowed the voting process.
For those who are maybe use their hands a lot in their jobs, they are finding challenges to be identified through the fingerprints. That is one of the major challenges, but I have seen in particular in Moiri, the IBC is having an alternative way of identifying them.
A total of 73,480 registered voters were expected to cast their ballots across 144 polling stations, with 9 candidates cleared by the IBC to contest the seat. Paul Kirobi, TV47.
Now, polling has officially closed in the Ol Kalou by-election, and attention has now shifted on the counting of votes. We now cross over live to our reporter Sydney Chazima with the latest from Ol Kalou. Sydney Chazima, if you can hear me, kindly bring us to speed on the latest from Ol Kalou. Sydney Chazima? Seems we're having some technical difficulties with Sydney, but we will continue to monitor that situation as we wait for Sydney Chazima to get ready to give us an update on what is going on in Ol Kalou as voting continues. Sydney Chazima. Sydney?
Right here, this Ol Kalou Senior School, where just the results continue trickling in, and the returning officer continues with the announcements from various polling stations. If I can just read it to you a bit, some of the polling stations that have already been announced. Pardon just a minute. For JM Nursery Stream 1, we had Samuel Ngoth of DCP garnering 42 votes, Mushina of UDA garnering 7 votes, and Jacob Kioria in Okay, sorry. And Githunguri Primary Station, we have Samuel Ngotho getting 249, Mushina Nyaga of UDA getting 22, Githunguri Polling Station 2, Samuel Ngotho of DCP getting 250, Mushina Nyaga of UDA getting 89. These are some of the results already streaming in here, and the mood right here is we've seen clips all over on social media. The DCP candidate Sami Ngotho and his supporters already in celebratory mood across various stations in Ol Kalou and the town in Ol Kalou, just to indicate that probably this vote could be swinging his way. And we've also seen various messages of concession from leaders allied to the UDA party. If I can just read some of them, one from Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi, who says that he wants to congratulate Honorable Sami Kamau Waweru for winning the Ol Kalou by-election. And he says thumbs up to Samuel Mushina Nyaga for a well-fought race. He also adds that the administration of President William Ruto was formed by the people of Murima, and they will still be part of this government. I can also read something from Dennis Itumbi, who says, congratulations Ngotho, well fought, well won. Njoroge Kururia says and he quips that what Ol Kalou ni warudishe gas za UDA, probably speaking to the goodies that were distributed in a bid to try and sway the vote towards the UDA party. We've also seen Deputy President Kithure Kindiki alluding to the Mbeere North vote where UDA won, says Mbeere North won, Ol Kalou won, and saying that they'll be meeting for a final march on 10th of August. These are just some of the indications pointing towards a possible victory for the DCP candidate, the concessions and the celebrations from the DCP supporters and the candidate himself. We've been told by insiders inside the DCP party that they might be heading here any minute from now, just to continue taking and listening to the announcements as they stream in. We can also tell you that this is an exercise that looks to get concluded soon rather than late into the night, because we're seeing most of the polling stations and the presiding officers are already reporting. And just right there at that receiving desk is where most of them come in first, and the IEBC clerks are there just to record whatever has happened at the ballot as they come in, from which station, and then they'll head over right to my right slightly, where the presiding officer label is put, and there is where the vote that has been cast at the polling station is recorded and then announced and then beamed over there at that magic wall, like I should say, on that projector is where the Excel sheet is there, just detailing every polling station and the votes that were cast. And then the ballots are then stored up there on that stage, just arranged in an order so that this exercise can conclude as expected. Peter, so far so good. That is the update I can give you here. We are still waiting for the candidate of DCP just to come in, and then we shall give an update on whether we shall be able to talk to him and what we shall be transpiring right here. Back to Peter.
Thanks for that update, Signature Zima. We'll stay with this story throughout the evening and bring you verified results as they come in. Now, still in Ol Kalou, the outcome of Thursday's Ol Kalou by-election is widely seen as a referendum on President William Ruto and his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua as they battle for political loyalty in the populous Mount Kenya region ahead of the 2027 general election. A victory for UDA, which has invested heavily in the mini-poll, would reinforce President Ruto's authority in the region following the party's win in the Mbeere North by-election, and signal that UDA remains the party to beat. On the other hand, a victory for Gachagua would reaffirm his influence as the region's political kingpin and be interpreted as a vote of no confidence in President William Ruto's administration. Apollo Kamau reports.
The much anticipated outcome of the hotly contested Ol Kalou parliamentary by-election has evolved from a mere contest for a parliamentary seat into a high-stakes political referendum between President William Ruto and his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua. The seat fell vacant following the death of former MP David Kiaraho and is now viewed by political analysts as a test of loyalty and political strength between Gachagua and Ruto ahead of next year's general election.
Well, I don't really think it's make or break for DCP. It is make or break for UNDA, because UNDA dominated the Central Kenya region, the Mount Kenya region. It was the path of choice. William Ruto would like to demonstrate that he still has support. Never mind that he has bought the support physically with the money, which he did not do in 2022. 2022, he didn't pay anybody any money.
Kalau is a do or die, and a do or die because there are two gentlemen who are trying to measure their muscles in the area, all right? You remember President William Samoei Arap Ruto has lost quite a good number of votes in the central region. And because he has lost quite a good number of votes, he's probably trying to measure his muscles with this, whether he still has got some sizable number of votes that he can carry up to 2027. And that is the reason why it's a do or die for him.
A victory for Gachagua, who has positioned himself as the Mount Kenya region's political kingpin, would amount to a major political statement. It would send a strong message to President Ruto and the UDA party, raising questions about whether the party could suffer a decline similar to that experienced by Jubilee ahead of the 2022 general election. It would also give Gachagua greater political leverage, both within and outside the opposition.
For Gachagua, because of the impeachment that happened, the anger, all right, he has actually managed to rally the people of the mountain around that particular impeachment. And that has actually made him to develop a very huge anger towards the government, all right? So for him, pushing for a candidate in this particular by-election in Kalau is to probably show William Samoei Arap Ruto that you've completely lost the mountain. If he doesn't win after spending 10 billion, it will really be a big shame for William Ruto. For Gachagua, it will mean nothing. Because in a general election, you can't spend that kind of money in every constituency. So it won't mean much if the DCP loses the election, but it will mean a lot if William Ruto loses that election.
On the other hand, a victory for President Ruto would dispel the perception that the Mount Kenya region has abandoned him following his fallout with Gachagua after the former deputy president's impeachment in 2024. It would also reinforce Ruto's claim that UDA remains the party to beat in 2027, while weakening Gachagua's influence in the region.
If he wins the Kalau by-election, this particular by-election, it will be a very good communication to Gachagua, okay, perception-wise, that he is able to mobilize the mountain to back him in the 2027 election. What does that make Gachagua look like? Now, that will make Gachagua then to probably look like someone who has got has not stamped his authority on the mountain completely. Because remember, in all the by-elections that have actually happened on the mountain, if Gachagua loses this, then it will be a pattern that has been set.
Kalau by-election has sent a very chilling message to the rest of Kenya, that they are very cheap. They can be bought by a piece of bread and a bottle of soda. But the Kikuyus are very valuable people. To get them, you must spend real money. It's not a very brilliant message moving to the general election.
A victory for either Gachagua or Ruto will not only shape perceptions of who holds the political upper hand in the populous Mount Kenya region, potentially triggering further defections, but will also give the winner much-needed momentum ahead of next year's general election, while influencing future coalition negotiations. Kamau, TV47.
Thank you, Apollo Kamau, for that report. Now, the Kalau parliamentary by-election was triggered by the death of the area's Member of Parliament, David Kiaraho, who passed away on March 29, 2026, while serving his third consecutive term. Following his death, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula officially declared the seat vacant through a Gazette notice, paving the way for the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to conduct a by-election. The contest has attracted national attention because it's being viewed as the first major electoral test for the newly reconstituted IEBC and a key indicator of the political mood in the Mount Kenya region ahead of the 2027 general election. The race has also been seen as a crucial battle between the ruling UDA and the opposition, making it one of the county's most closely watched by-election. Olkalau is one of 5 constituencies in Nyandarua County and has more than 73,000 registered voters spread across 144 polling stations. Now moving on to another story, but it's still in Olkalau. Violence rocked the Olkalau by-election today after suspected plainclothes police officers traveling in unmarked Subaru and Toyota Prado vehicles attacked journalists and residents while opening fire. The incident came despite earlier warnings by the National Police Service and the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC) that vehicles without registration number plates would be impounded. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has since said any police officers found culpable will face the law. Apollo Kamau gives us this report.
The Olkalau parliamentary by-election descended into chaos after police believed to be plainclothes police officers attacked residents and journalists, firing gunshots and chasing people away while armed with wooden clubs. This was despite earlier warnings by the electoral body IEBC and the National Police Service against the use of unmarked vehicles, which were allegedly used by the masked officers. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen now says police officers involved will be held accountable.
These allegations of some other persons who are causing havoc in the Olkalau must be investigated thoroughly, and anyone who is culpable must be arrested, regardless of their what they were doing and who deployed them to Olkalau. Whether they were deployed by the Inspector General and they went and misbehaved, they must be dealt with with finality.
During the chaos at AC Primary School polling station, journalists from the Nation Media Group were assaulted and robbed of their equipment by armed men wearing balaclavas and driving Subaru vehicles and other luxury cars. In a statement, Nation Media Group strongly condemned the attack, describing the violence as an assault on the public's right to access information. The Kenya Editors Guild condemned the assault on journalists, terming it shocking and deeply disturbing, and describing it as an attack on journalists carrying out their constitutional duty. The Kenya Union of Journalists also condemned the attack in a statement, saying this madness must stop and warning that the attack set a dangerous precedent of a country controlled by goons and sliding into anarchy. The unrest in Olkalau town began when uniformed police officers attempted to enter AC Primary School polling station but were blocked by youths who claimed the officers were there to steal votes.
Na tumekuja kuhakikisha ya kwamba haki yetu tumeisababisha kwa sanduku. Sawa sawa? Na hatutaki vita. Askari tumekubaliana nao watoke wapi? Watoke hapa, sisi hatutaki ulinzi.
Serikali yenyewe tena ndio inakuja kuharibu kura. Ni sisi tunakupiga kura yetu kwa kaunti yetu na amani.
The reason why wametuingilia ni kwa sababu ya serikali yenye iko. Unaona? So, mimi naomba tu serikali waweke tu amani.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, while addressing the media, alleged that 5 polling stations were attacked by state officers in an attempt to rig the election. He called for the IEBC to be disbanded and urged voters in Olkalau to guard their vote.
I want to tell IEBC, from what has happened, we'll be mobilizing the people of Kenya to call for your disbandment. You are an embarrassment to the people of Kenya. This election was very peaceful until you connived with William Ruto to cause violence. These people now have retreated to Royal Garden Hotel where they are planning to storm all polling stations and disrupt the counting and overturn the will of the people. I am calling upon the people of Olkalau, all of them who voted, to go back to the polling stations.
Vocal Africa, while condemning the chaos, says the Olkalau mini poll is proof that the IEBC and the National Police Service are not ready to oversee next year's general election.
Judging by what we have witnessed today in Olkalau, it is very clear and evident that Kenya is not ready for the general elections next year. IEBC are ill prepared, and particularly the police are not ready to maintain safety and security during election day.
The by-election saw a high voter turnout, with large numbers of Olkalau residents turning out to cast their ballots. Kamau, TV47.
Away from our top story, but still in politics, Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna has been removed as Deputy Senate Minority Whip in changes made by the Orange Democratic Movement ODM and announced by the Senate Speaker. The move comes barely days after Sifuna lost his position as ODM Secretary General, deepening questions over his standing within the party.
Senator Edwin Sifuna has been removed as a Deputy Senator Minority Whip, with Migori Senator Eddie Okech taking over the position after Senate Speaker Amason Kingi communicated the leadership changes in the House. Speaker Kingi told the Senate on Thursday afternoon that he had received a formal letter from Senate Minority Leader Stewart Madzayo notifying him of the changes, alongside minutes of a minority parliamentary group meeting held on the 15th July and a signed list of senators supporting the resolution.
From the correspondence, the minutes indicate that a resolution was passed to remove the Deputy Senate Minority Whip, Senator Edwin Sifuna CBS MP, in accordance with Standing Order 23-4.
According to Speaker Kingi, the process complied with Senate standing orders, which allow members of the minority side to remove one of their leaders through a majority decision before formally notifying the Speaker.
The new office holder with immediate effect is Senator Eddie Gesheru Okech MP.
I take this opportunity to very humbly thank the leadership and the members of the minority side for the cooperation that they've given me. Even the majority side, for the cooperation that they've shown me in the time that I have been Deputy Whip. I congratulate my young brother, the Honorable Senator from Migori, for his new role. You remember, Senator Eddie, how many times I have called you as your whip so that you give us quorum. I am happy that that is now going to be your job, to look for quorum in this house so that we can transact business.
I want to ask Senator Sifuna to remain firm. Whatever changes that have been made, it's unfortunate, but we'll soldier on. We know Senator Khalwale was removed. Now is Senator Sifuna, and a lot of us are going to be removed. It is fine. We'll move on. But we have a bright future coming, and it is coming very soon.
Despite the political fallout, there was no visible hostility on the Senate floor, with Sifuna and Okech seen exchanging a handshake shortly after the announcement, signalling what appeared to be a cordial transition. The latest development marks another setback for Sifuna, who days earlier lost his position as ODM Secretary General after the party's National Executive Committee resolved to remove him over alleged gross misconduct.
The NEC unanimously resolved to adopt the committee's recommendation and endorsed the removal from office of Senator Edwin Watenya Sifuna.
The announcement, however, comes amid a dispute within the Azimio coalition, which had written to Speaker Kingi opposing the changes. In a letter dated 16th July and addressed to Speaker Kingi, Azimio said it had received complaints from member parties and senators over alleged attempts to interfere with the Senate leadership. The coalition argued that the meeting convened by Minority Whip Ledama Olekina, where the decision to remove Sifuna was made, was called on short notice and lacked lacked a clear agenda. Azimio had urged the Speaker to suspend implementation of the changes until its dispute resolution panel determined the matter. For Sifuna, the loss of both the ODM Secretary General position and the Deputy Senate Minority Whip role represents a major political setback, placing him at the center of an escalating leadership dispute within the opposition coalition.
Now, the widow and son of slain former Kasipul MP Ongondo Were have given emotional testimony before the Kibera High Court, recounting the former legislator's final moments before he was fatally shot and how they learned of his death. Margaret Korir, Were's widow, told the court that her husband sent her 5,200 via M-Pesa just 10 minutes before he was gunned down in Nairobi. She testified that the money was sent at exactly 7:30 p.m. After receiving it, she drove to a nearby petrol station before calling her husband at around 7:40 p.m. Instead of Were answering the call, his bodyguard picked up the phone while crying. Their son, Boyd Were, also testified, saying he had repeatedly urged his father to change his daily routine following persistent threats to his life. He told the court that he advised his father to stop using his usual vehicle and instead travel in his son's car in an effort to reduce the security risk he faced. Despite the precaution, the former MP was attacked and killed while traveling in that same vehicle.
Him using your vehicle because of why?
I asked him to use my vehicle because previously, he got threats, which sometimes he shared. So that's why I suggested to him to use my vehicle, which is a white Toyota Crown, registration number KDM.
Watch my pen, Mheshimiwa. I know you are a debater, but you can't write as fast as I am writing. So you have to watch my pen. Vehicle reg number
KDM.
Yes.
783A.
Yes. Yes, because it was white.
Yeah, it was a white Toyota Crown. So yes. I asked him to use my vehicle, at least to change the normal routine, as opposed to his usual black Toyota Land Cruiser V8.
Unfortunately, the person who picked my husband's phone was his bodyguard, namely PC Alan Ogola, and he was crying. I disconnected the phone and immediately my son, Proctor Oja, called me. Proctor, P-R-R-O-C-T-O-R.
Oh, okay. Proctor who?
Oja.
O-J-A?
O-J-A-A.
Okay.
Called me and told me that my husband had been shot.
Let's pause for a short commercial break. We'll be back shortly with more news. Stay with us.
Guys, hamwezeni wait?
Bei ya leo premium, si complicated. Kupika leo premium, si complicated. Unabai, unapika, unashiba. Lea premium.
Lea Premium Flour, nurturing the world. Available in a store near you.
Yummy na flow kama maji, juu ni tamu kama sali. Ni juicy. Are you bored? Kuna vitu zinakuudhi, usijali my bro, ibu kama taka juicy juni.
Umechoka kutumia links za kukwama? Cheki, free rewards ni hatari.
Bro, ulikuwa unatumia wrong link na wrong info. Unahitaji info sahihi na link sahihi.
Ni time ya info sahihi. IEBC Continuous Voter Registration iko live. Mistari ndefu Z, hakuna cha wrong links.
Main character energy unlocked. Right information, right direction. My vote is my ultimate choice.
Jisajili leo katika ofisi ya eneo bunge, kituo cha huduma au Customer Experience Center iliyopo Anniversary Towers, Nairobi. Kuwa change, kura yako ndio future yetu sote.
At the heart of Kenya's energy network is a company moving a nation forward. With world-class pipeline infrastructure stretching over 1,700 kilometers, the Kenya Pipeline Company ensures safe, reliable movement of petroleum products across Kenya and the region. As a strategic enabler, we energize industries, connect markets, and support national and regional transformation. Our operations are powered by innovation with automated systems that enhance speed, safety, and accountability. From our Mombasa facility to Kisumu Oil Jetty on Lake Victoria, we are transforming regional logistics by connecting Kenya to Uganda and beyond. And behind every milestone is our people, the engineers, analysts, and technicians who fuel our mission. With every drop of oil products delivered, we honor our mandate to power Kenya's growth and fuel the region's future.
Welcome back. You're watching TV47 Prime. Now, the Water Resources Authority, WRA, has clarified that allegations of plans to privatize the Gitangu-Gitaduru River source are false. The claims, which have circulated on social media, allege that residents in the Kabete area will lose access to the water resource. According to the authority, the Nairobi Rivers Commission has commenced the demarcation of the Nairobi rivers, of which the Gitaduru River is a tributary. And this has caused jitters among residents. Stanley Nyaringita reports.
Residents of Muguga Ward in Kabete constituency, Kiambu County, have raised concerns over the ongoing demarcation of Mathare and Gitathuru rivers amid fears that the exercise could affect access to water resources and their farming activities. The Nairobi Rivers Commission began the demarcation exercise on 8th July 2026 as part of the Nairobi Rivers Regeneration Program, with the aim of protecting riparian corridors. However, claims that the exercise is intended to privatize water springs in the area have caused anxiety among residents.
Si tunaisikia ni kama rumors tu hivyo. Zinaenda hadi kwa makanisa, hiyo nini imetangazwa kwa makanisa. Ndio maana leo wakaaji wa hii area wameamua wakusanyike kwa mkutano moja. Kama ni ukweli ijulikane ni leo na tujue option yenye itachukuliwa.
Peter Kimondo, the chairperson of the Gitangu-Gitathuru Water Resources Users Association, has dismissed the claims.
Na nikajaribu kuwaelezea. Hii sasa mto imeenda mpaka Mathare. Wakacheji hiyo story. Wakasema maji inatakiwa iende kwa watu wa Mathare, waweke kwa matanki, wauze huko nini. Sasa nikaona sitabishana na wao. Mimi nikanyamaza. Wakaanza tu wakasema Kimondo ameuzia watu wa Nairobi mto.
Kimondo says that in line with existing water regulations, individuals using the resources for irrigation will be required to obtain water permits and pay for the authorized use of the water. What was anticipated to be the first public baraza among the residents of Muguga turned heated as they disputed the appointment of Peter Kimondo as the chairperson of the Gitangu-Gitathuru Water Resources Users Association, JUA. Farmers in Muguga, however, fear that the requirements could disrupt their livelihoods, with some saying they intend to challenge the directive by the Water Resources Authority requiring users of the water resources to obtain permits.
tulizaliwa tukakuta maji ikitumika. Wazazi wetu hawakutobia, walikuwa wanalipa. Hapana, hatulipi, lakini tunalipa through the stima. Unajua tukilipa stima kuna taxes zile wanataxiwa. Tukilima chakula tukipeleka kwa soko tunalipishwa.
Mali tunafinyiliwa sana ni stima. Unajua hii maji we pipe it through the electricity. Na tena hata ukisikia tunauza vizuri, ni vile ni kama lazima uweke stock hata kama ni kwa shamba.
The farmers have called for more engagement and public participation before the implementation of the directive.
Now, tumesoma acts hapa zenye already ziko gazetted. People have no clue what is happening. So, we came here today. We want to petition the whole of this act. WRA be informed.
We want to petition it so that it can be done some amendments. Why? Our lands are so small, and bearing in mind that we have an issue with job opportunities. Our livelihood is in those small lands.
Mathare River, one of Nairobi's major rivers, originates from the Gitangu-Gitathuru River, where the ongoing demarcation exercise is currently being undertaken. The government targets completing the Nairobi River's regeneration program by January 2027, with the residents urging the Nairobi Rivers Commission to conduct public sensitization to address concerns surrounding the demarcation process. Stanley Nyaringita, TV47.
In other news, the government has launched the process of preparing Kenya's first ever State of Openness report as President William Ruto pledges greater transparency and accountability to rebuild public trust and combat misinformation. He backed the initiative with a pledge of 100 million shillings to the Commission on Administrative Justice.
President William Ruto has commissioned the preparation of Kenya's first ever State of Openness report, describing it as a critical step towards enhancing transparency, accountability, and access to public information. Speaking at State House in Nairobi, President Ruto said the report will provide an honest assessment of government performance while helping address the spread of fake news, misinformation, and propaganda through increased openness and access to information.
The State of Openness report is not intended to be another government publication. It is a national government measurement framework designed to assess the extent to which the openness is being realized across public institutions.
It is therefore my honor to formally commission the preparation of Kenya's inaugural State of the Openness report and to direct the relevant public institutions to extend their full cooperation.
President Ruto directed all ministries, state agencies, constitutional commissions, and county governments to cooperate fully by providing timely and accurate information during the exercise.
We are open and transparent, obeying constitutional imperatives of transparency and accountability. And therefore, I commend CAJ and all the partners for undertaking this exercise. A confident government does not fear scrutiny. In fact, it welcomes scrutiny.
The head of state highlighted ongoing reforms aimed at strengthening accountability, including the expansion of digital government services from 350 in 2022 to more than 26,000 currently. To support the initiative, President Ruto pledged 100 million Kenya shillings to the Commission on Administrative Justice, saying a government committed to openness should embrace public scrutiny rather than fear it. The State of Openness report is expected to be launched later this year. For TV47, I'm Linda Alela.
Elsewhere, Kilifi County has received a major boost in the fight against gender-based violence following the launch of Kimbilio Safe House, a new 48-bed shelter for survivors in Kilifi North Sub-County. The facility aims to provide safe accommodation, counseling, legal aid and economic empowerment programs for survivors. Reporter Sally Davida reports.
Shining Hope for Communities, in partnership with the Kilifi County government, has launched the Kimbilio Safe House in Kilifi North Sub-County to provide shelter and support services to survivors of the gender-based violence. However, the facility comes amid a rise in cases of violence against women and girls in the region. According to data from the National Council on the Administration of Justice, 1,024 gender-based violence cases were filed in Kilifi courts in 2025, compared to 939 cases recorded in 2024.
Kilifi remains one of the Kenya's highest burden counties for sexual and gender-based violence. During 2024 and 2025 last year, imagine this, 939 SGBV cases were before the court.
Speaking during the launch, Gender Principal Secretary Anne Wangombe described the safe house as a critical milestone in protecting survivors and ensuring they have access to justice, counseling and healing services. However, Kilifi Deputy Governor Flora Chibule said the facility is the first dedicated shelter for survivors of gender-based violence in the county.
In case you have those cases, please, I'll give you my number. Call me. I normally go to the station itself.
We extend our heartfelt appreciation to Shofco for establishing the Kimbilio Safe House. Your commitment to protecting vulnerable women, girls, and survivors of gender-based violence demonstrates the power of partnership.
Meanwhile, Shofco founder Dr. Kennedy Odede said the safe house will provide safe accommodation, counseling, and economic empowerment programs to help survivors rebuild their lives. Sally Davida, TV47.
Thank you, Sally Davida, for that report. Now, health stakeholders now say migration and intermarriage have led to an increased prevalence of sickle cell disease across the country. This surge in cases comes at a time when the country is still grappling with the lack of universal screening, inadequate data on sickle cell disease, and challenges in blood transfusion due to blood shortages. As Elizabeth Atieno reports, those living with sickle cell disease continue to decry stigma and a lack of financial resources to manage the condition.
Approximately 249,000 Kenyans are living with sickle cell disease. Every year, about 14,000 children are born with the condition, with 4 out of every 100 newborns affected in high-burden areas such as Western, Nyanza, and the coastal regions.
We protect Kenyans from dying. We protect them from unnecessary deaths, like things that you don't have to die from, you shouldn't die from.
Treating sickle cell disease is costly. The government spends an estimated 16.5 billion Kenya shillings annually to manage the condition. The Social Health Authority, SHA, provides 70,000 per apheresis session, a medical procedure in which a person's blood is passed through a machine that separates specific blood components such as plasma, platelets, or stem cells before returning the remaining blood to the body. SHA also covers laboratory tests at 6,800 Kenya shillings per person. However, health stakeholders say the support provided is still insufficient.
So if we can do early infant screening and linkage into care, and then that would improve our outcomes. But having said that, we also need to improve our care framework. We need to avail the necessary medications.
We've been implementing an agenda for health, and our agenda for health is premised on just 2 things. One is that we protect Kenyans from financial ruin when they get sick.
In June 2023, the Ministry of Health established a policy on infant screening for sickle cell disease, covering level 2 to level 6 health facilities in high prevalence counties. So far, 40,756 newborns have been screened, with 460 diagnosed with sickle cell disease, while a further 7,061 children have been identified with sickle cell trait.
The most extraordinary is correcting the genetic defect. Now, this has been demonstrated that this works, but it's just too expensive. It's just unavailable to most people with sickle cell disease.
Globally, about 7.7 million people are living with sickle cell disease, with an estimated 376,000 deaths attributed to the condition. Every year, about 515,000 children are born with sickle cell disease, while 81,100 children die before the age of 5. Sickle cell disease is a group of inherited blood disorders that cause red blood cells to become rigid, sticky, and C-shaped. These cells can block blood flow and limit oxygen supply to body tissues, causing severe pain and organ damage. Symptoms include chronic anemia, pain crisis, acute chest syndrome, hand and foot swelling, and stroke. Early diagnosis through newborn screening, preventive antibiotics and vaccinations, pain management, adequate hydration during crisis, blood transfusions, regular monitoring for organ damage, and genetic counseling are among the key measures that can improve outcomes for people living with sickle cell disease. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Elizabeth Atieno, for that report. Now, the Kenya Pipeline Company, in partnership with TV47 and Radio 47, has launched a 3-day public safety awareness campaign in Kisumu County dubbed Linda Bomba, Linda Jamii, targeting residents living along the oil pipeline corridor. The campaign caravan toured Kisumu town, Kibos, and Mamboleo, featuring entertainment and giveaways while delivering a strong message that places safety first. Residents also had a unique opportunity to interact with TV47 and Radio 47 presenters.
Spillage ya mafuta na janga la moto.
Before you get the product from Mombasa to terminate here at the terminal Kisumu, it has to go through the right of way. And also where we are located, we have communities and very many business and users, road users and many others. So these are safety moment. We'll want to sensitize all the neighborings along the right of way and as well as the neighbors of this terminal, which are the community, the drivers, the road users, truck drivers, etc., even the border, everyone.
And the whole idea about safety and security of the pipeline is to ensure that if at all we have got any accident or incident, we do not have loss of property and life, we do not have any environmental pollutions. And this one, basically, we try to maintain that by minimizing the level of encroachments.
Wananchi tuache kuwa na tamaa ya kutaka kujenga kila mahali. Ni vizuri kwamba tunajichunga sisi kama wananchi. Ukiona hii ni line ya mafuta, ni vizuri kwamba unazizuia. Toka karibu na hapo, usijenge hapo, usilime hapo, ili jizuia kwa kizazi ya leo na ya kesho.
Let's shift focus to business news. KCB Bank Kenya has partnered with the Kenya Defence Forces and the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Public Works to launch a concessional mortgage scheme offering military personnel affordable home ownership opportunities through the Civil Servants Housing Mortgage Scheme. This landmark initiative integrates more than 50,000 active military officers into the state housing program. Beneficiaries will access highly discounted loans at 4% annual interest rate with flexible repayment terms of up to 20 years. The comprehensive facility supports diverse needs, including direct home purchases, plot acquisitions, residential construction, equity release, and mortgage takeover financing.
We are now graduating from institutional housing because our men in uniform will stay in those houses where they are serving. But now we have gotten to the next level.
Kenya Defence Forces. The opportunity to own a home should not remain a distant aspiration, sir. It should be an achievable goal supported by partnerships that understand the unique nature of military services.
In the affordable housing schemes that we are building all over the country. And we have, as we speak right now, over 277,000 units under construction in every part of the country.
So as leaders, we have a corresponding responsibility to ensure that those sacrifices are matched by a genuine commitment to welfare of those that serve under us in this country.
Banks are increasingly introducing tailored financial products for essential service workers as they seek to expand financial inclusion and improve access to affordable credit. Stanbic Bank Kenya has unveiled a package for police officers that includes unsecured personal loans and salary advances to meet planned and emergency financial needs. The lender says the initiative is aimed at supporting officers' financial well-being through solutions that promote saving, investment, homeownership, and retirement planning.
Every day, men and women of the National Police Service show up for this country. You protect our communities, you serve our people, and often you do so quite quietly and also with some personal sacrifice. That's why we are here to say thank you. But we are not only saying thank you, we are also here to say we are here to support you. So as much as we appreciate the service you give, we are also offering ourselves as a service to you.
Financial institutions are expanding green financing solutions to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles in Kenya. NCBA has partnered with ePure Motion to offer asset financing for electric passenger vehicles and public service vehicles. Under the arrangement, eligible salaried customers can access up to 100% financing for private electric vehicles, while PSV operators and SACCOs can secure up to 90% financing subject to credit assessment and eligibility requirements.
The commercial sense for EVs is a gone case. That's done. There's always been a gap on financing, which is the financial access, because most banks still are going through creating products for EV vehicles, right? So this is really a testament that to the public that not just access to EV financing, but the right kind of financing as well. So it means a lot.
So customers who are salaried individuals, we are able to finance you up to 100% of the total purchase price of the vehicle with a stretched repayment period of 72 months. And to corporate customers, commercial customers, and SACCOs, we are financing up to 90% and with a maximum repayment tenor of 60 months. And to individual PSV operators, taxis, etc., you're financing up to a maximum of 80% with a maximum repayment period of 48 months.
The Kenya Association of Manufacturers has announced new leadership as the industry steps up efforts to improve the competitiveness of local manufacturers amid shifting global trade dynamics. The association says its focus will be on strengthening industrial growth through policy reforms, equitable value chains, and a more competitive business environment. Manufacturers say closer collaboration with government and industry stakeholders will be key to attracting investment, expanding production, and supporting Kenya's industrialization agenda.
The last 2 years, we've developed an effective secretariat that is now executing. And what I would like to do is ensure that we build on those visions. The core of what we do here at CAM is advocacy and lobbying. Members want to see wins. The core of the problems, when you look at them, are to deal with policy and taxation issues. And a lot of that is around the uncertainty of the environment. And how do we create a stable policy environment? And how do we create a tax environment where one can plan and look forward into, and yet at the same time remain competitiveness? So every time we look at this, it goes down to competitiveness. Our focus needs to be on benchmarking Kenya with its region, number one, because if we are not competitive domestically, what business do we have in the region?
We are now on the lighter side of news. The national women's football team, the Harambee Starlets, officially began their Women's Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON preparations after touching down in Miramas, France on Thursday morning. The Beldine Odemba coached side will be on camp for 1 week before traveling to Morocco for their second ever appearance at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Kenya have been drawn in Group A, or are widely regarded as the group of death, alongside Algeria, Senegal and host Morocco. The Starlets kick off their campaign on July 26th against Morocco in what promises to be a historic encounter. Defending world champions Argentina once again showcased their impeccable class as they came from a goal down to secure an emphatic 2-1 victory over rivals England in a thrilling semi. Within moments of the final whistle, tens of thousands of jubilant supporters flooded the city's iconic streets, waving sky blue and white flags, singing football anthems and lighting flares as the Argentine capital transformed into one massive celebration. The famous obelisk became the heart of the celebrations, with fans embracing dancing and chanting the names of Lionel Messi, Lautaro Martinez and their national heroes. After another unforgettable night on football's biggest stage, for the reigning world champions, the dream of back-to-back World Cup titles remains alive. Now one final hurdle stands in the way, a blockbuster showdown against Spain, with football immortality once again within touching distance. England's quest to end a 60-year wait for a second FIFA World Cup title came to a crashing end following a dramatic 2-1 semi-final defeat to Argentina. Across London, pubs and fan parks that had erupted in celebration after England's opening goal fell silent as Argentina staged a late comeback to snatch victory. Disappointed supporters streamed out of packed venues. Many left stunned after watching another World Cup dream slip away. The painful defeat means England must now shift their focus to their third-place playoff, while questions are already being asked about what went wrong in the closing stages of the match. For the Three Lions, the wait for the World Cup glory continues, with hopes of finally bringing football home once again put on hold. And that's where we wrap up this edition of TV47 Prime. Thank you so much for choosing TV47. Of course, we'll continue monitoring developments from all around throughout the evening and bring you up to speed with the latest and verified results on our digital platform. My name is Peter Kamau. Our sign interpreter is Catherine Simaloy. Have a pleasant night.